his way towards sewers. And this is the stage in the round where the in-game leader's starting to call UCAM back towards the other side of the map, especially when Kron hits that shot. In saying that, it looks more like a group up B. They're doubling down into the chamber, and so Kron will find his third before we move to post.
I think this could be the easiest 3K Kron's had of his life. So the last two remaining players try to make it work. There's an exploration towards Garage.
And this is necessary control for UCAM at this stage in the round. Ball is so low though, he gets half a chance. Sayonara capitalizes. And with that, Vitality convert the bonus. It was already a really strong one with the operator in play.
Yeah.
With Blades as well, but I mean, this is a very positive beginning.
The fact that you can already start to dismantle UCAM's attack and make them start to wonder, hey guys, where can we actually go? Because so far, that mid portion of the map really controlled by Kron, really making it work for him. And yeah, as I have to say, I'm really worried about how UCAM move around the map. It's as if they're scared.
We know that they have the capability to beat VCT teams. We saw them take down Na'Vi and Ulf, but as it has been mentioned, Na'Vi with a substitute for this event while Ruxic is recovering, and Ulf maybe more going on for them. Post on Twitter saying maybe they hadn't had the best of practice coming into this event, so it's those little sloppy mistakes, right, that are going to cost you, especially against a team of Vitality's caliber. With the Stingers here, they're trying to just rush the site, but it's a very staggered scale. And Vitality are playing double snipers, so they're happy to take you at range. Every single one of these fights. Olazera down to 5, and that is all she wrote.
Yeah, Vitality are... I mean, didn't have much to challenge them there, let's be honest. Short range, that's what UCAM wants to get up and close and personal with, but Vitality thriving in that, and at long range as well. I think the big thing that I'm noticing from Vitality here, Hansa, and the biggest compliment to them that I think maybe the regular season of Kickoff maybe never really worked in their favour, is how good they are at playing off one another that I'm noticing.
Yeah, and those are the systems that we're talking about, right? The synergy that takes time, and it's with this full 5 that you're expecting to see the peak of that, the fruits of their labor. I have to say, with the agent choices as well, we've rarely seen Jet played so far this year, honestly. The only one I can remember probably was 11 on Abyss with KC. But they found what works for them. They're playing confident. That's really important in this meta. UCAM on the other side, early timeout on a map which, as I said, they've been undefeated on so far this year. Spanning back into the last, something has to change.
Yeah, something does. Something needs to be spoken about, discussed, and changed. Because as for this mid portion of the map, we discussed it. It's not really working well. In fact, they tried to go quick on that last one, and it seemed as if Vitality, as you talked about systems and how to play off one another, didn't seem as if there was much of a sweat brewing for Vitality. In terms of change here, you can see Kron maybe not towards the A side or B, now taking up towards C.
And it's a double op now for Vitality, running it back with the scoped weapons again. UCAM bringing one of their own to the table with Bisq. He's incredibly proficient, and I think this just really helps their attack macro. They like to play slow, they like to play for those picks, and he's going to get one here onto Durka.
That's unfortunate. Durka going searching, that's what you want your duelist to do, but ends up on the bad side of that. So Yampi now stuck on A and calling for support through Sayonara. So both players here, the Viper utility to support, and a Sky Flash ready to pop.
So Yampi might just solo this. In fact, Sayonara takes his own duel, and it's the only player that wins one in this round so far for Vitality. UCAM in a position now to take this to post plant. Olazera is double nano, so they have some stopping power here as well.
Yeah, but it's trying to get back in with that operator. And the fact that Prophet goes as well will probably call a save for Kron. See, probably.
Off season, maybe he gives it a go. Ill-advised. Bisq deletes him, and I think this is something that we have to talk about in a little bit more detail, because UCAM on a lot of these attack rounds, they live and die through Bisq and his op.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing, and we spoke about it yesterday, about how mercurial a player Bisq can actually be. I think he was gifted a lot there, and the execute, I mean, 5 hit into 4. You'd expect the 5 to win, right, just because of a numbers advantage. But yeah, Bisk was really played around, and I think for Vitality, if they can try and shut him down, they'll find great success.
It's a much more aggressive stance on A lobby this time from Vitality, and Profek just about hits the spray in the end. Looked like it might have got away from him, but Bald restoring order, and still Yampi all the while moving up, dropping the spike. Kron trying to play back through, but it's Bald again. Strikes thrice in the round, and with that, seeing if he can get away. The spike is tainted though. Again he falls. Bisk has closed the net in the meantime, and he does trade out Durka eventually. And finally, the round is given a little bit of time to breathe.
Yeah, that's the Wonder Kid who's to try and clutch up here as the spike slowly makes its way towards A. Bisk burning the dimensional drift to clear all corners. And with Sayonara being so deep, he knows exactly he doesn't want to give away his position.
Again, Olizera with both mollies. Bisk a full utility belt. But Sayonara has one of his own here. Maybe a chance to deny the spike, or at least create a bit of heat, some pressure on the shoulders of Olizera, and he will crumble underneath it. Sayonara has his first, but nothing getting past Bisk right now. Another incredibly impactful round to put UCAM up to their second.
It's an interesting round as well through that A-lobby fight. Vitality feeling. Feels as if Profek was so far on his own. Look at the map here right now. Durka's just sitting in the smoke while the players on shot don't scale up to help. So I think that's a little bit of a disconnect, and it shows you that system can fail at times.
I think it's interesting too, because Vitality not playing double duelist. Often the Omen player is the one coming from short to help Paranoia up. You've seen a lot of teams run that set piece. Kron's ult noted early towards grass here, as Vitality are starting to come up on hard times financially. UCAM getting back into this game. This is a huge round for them to potentially bring things to an even scoreline.
Still have to face up against 4 rifles and what is essentially the op
Vamos
for
lá,
the
grande
Shaper.
final aí.
Still,
Jogo calmo por
scale
enquanto.
slowly, wanting to play with the map. You can see Vitality slowly trying to suss things out, but not through proactivity. Well, finally it will be.
Que já tirar info do
Yampi getting a bit of information.
Vitality.
Grouping up with 3 players, soon to be a 4th on the A site. But as that Sky Flash hears nothing, now the penny drops and they start to realise that it's C under siege.
As Kron just trying to fire away
Bisk
shot
já
after
quer fazer
shot,
o
but
entry.
unfortunately none of them connecting,
Já
so
estava muito
he's
forte.
lost, and so is Sayonara. Bisk making everything hit at this moment in time. He can do no wrong.
Ai meu Deus.
Well, a huge triple, and the
Olizera.
spike collected. Olizera goes deep and manages to win out. So 1 versus 1 against Yampi. Tapping the spike, waiting for the peak. Yampi wins out, and that's all through Profek's heroics that Yampi can even get a chance to win it.
A huge 1 versus 1 which Yampi's able to win.
O
Currently
gajo
leading
conseguiu
the way
matar
in
os
terms
3 a
of
27.
in-game leaders for ACS. We've always known him to be a incredibly capable fragger, and you'll see that with him still playing Yoru on a couple of maps. But that for later. Right now, the Yoru we got to talk about is Bisk. The guy's just hitting so many shots, and I think what that means for UCAM is just simplifying their macro, right? If you can get a pick, you can manipulate the map way more. I just worry that when he goes down, there's no second layer to how they're playing this.
He's been left on his own for the time being now, trying to use the fake out for steps, but Kron's back to his old tricks through mid, and entry found.
Yeah, he's happy to just sit on this deeper angle as well, force UCAM to commit utility to clear him out. TP's back on a deeper line, and Durka's there in support. Sayonara in the meantime finds the kill down the length of C long, and Famsy's left on 5 HP, so blink and you'll miss it. UCAM are going to come out of this round with not the best of money. They probably can't buy here, and Vitality moving on to a 6th.
You'd expect that to be the case, yeah.
Ele tem a spike para tentar ir à ronda.
I felt was the real carry
Vai
as
jogar
well.
aqui para o lado de C.
His operator, the kind of agency that he gets with that, certainly excellent. But Famsy was on another
Tem
level,
aqui o Sayonara.
just rifling his way through. You can see
Isto
now
vai ser
Vitality start to close in. ready to close things out. Nice flick from Kron, hit the body,
Mais uma
get
ronda para
around.
Vitality.
Vitality, find 6.
Yeah, as you say, Famzi flexing across multiple roles. He's playing initiator here, but we've also seen him on
Agora
the
com
raise.
pouquinho dinheiro.
There's 51 kills in that series, which went the distance yesterday.
Yeah, and at half-time has a
Para o Vitality também é muito
he was
forte.
17 and 4.
Yeah.
Now 0 and 8 as we start to approach the latter stages of this half. The last 4 rounds just shows you how quickly things can change.
Yeah, he has been struggling, but everyone on UCAM having talent. As an organisation based on a university in Spain, gotta say they have graduated a lot of talents to VCT over the years. Notable alumni, of course, Ara and Flickless, but Famzi has had his
Tentar
time
aqui
in the
jogar
sun
para o
as
C.
well.
Temos
Big
aqui o
opportunity
Wolf.
for them here with this mixed investment. Lockdown through Garage already. Vitality conceding it, but Sayonara can't sit in the pocket for the whole of this round.
I cannot, he has to be forced out. The spam nearly doesn't work his way. It's Profik instead, and then Sayonara
Vai ser
saving
7-2.
Profik. Both players combining down long. And it's
Oliveira
just
aqui a
left
matar
to
um.
Oliveira and Famzi.
Yeah, Yampi just has to play with discipline here and not get caught out in an overextension.
Oliveira a matar
Well,
2.
So what does this round look like? You can see Sayonara running, but Profik needs to hide his steps. And he's deep on towards B main. Famzi doesn't realise it. And a couple of pings now going
A
out to the
Oliveira vai
women's positions.
fechar este aqui.
As Oliveira comes round, clears that. With 30 seconds remaining.
Oh.
30
Três.
seconds remaining.
Vai ser o ace do
Can he get this
Oliveira.
clutched up?
Yeah, you're thinking for half a second maybe he was doomed, but Vitality just confirming, still playing front B, and Sayonara closing in.
Both Vitality players are split up though. And while time is low,
Atrás, Oliveira.
conflict gunfight that goes Oliveira's way could have won him or opened up the round for him. Not the case though, as Yampi's a safe pair of hands.
Yeah, intelligent round on the whole, I think, from Sayonara and Profek there. They find the weak arm of the push with so much presence in Garage with the Killjoy ult, wanting to try and defend it. Gets the better of his former in-game leader. There is a lot of history in the server between these two teams, Cairo, and the players that have played with each other before and against them now.
Yeah, there is. I think like the big ones, obviously the Polish connection, but we can come back to that in a second as we head back into the next round. And 4 Stingers and a Bucky in the mix. We saw UCAM make a couple of Buckies work on Spine, but Heaven's a different beast.
Yeah, and with this pacey B
Cinco
play,
aqui para o
Vitality
V,
are going to receive that warning nice and early. The play is telegraphed and they understand this is a full commitment with the pit. Profek sitting over the top of the fumes right now as the spike is yet to be committed.
Yeah, Profik with full eyesight onto anyone trying to jump up towards the window position. The spam coming through from Besco. So a trade of omens.
Yeah, it's just the longer this pit stays up, the more of a problem it becomes for Vitality as they start to maybe second guess. Spike now going in though. Difficult post plant to try and get back into, but with Sayonara taking full Garage control, that is a big issue for UCAM.
Yeah, the Seekers are going to do a lot of work to try and open up this pit, and it identifies the position of other players. So just a player in main, that is Bold, the one who had played with Profik in the past, but he's already down to 14 HP. Vitality making no mistake. The Bucky not working out. The pit defumigated, and Vitality another round.
Sayonara again showing that discipline, just waiting for Bull to make the play. No reason to give him what he wants.
Vai ser jogo
We touched
difícil
on
para
it
os
before
UCAM.
the round, but yeah, I think Profek as a player, his development was really spurred on by the time that he spent with Bull. That Go Next roster in Ascension 2024, one of the biggest what-ifs, I think, when you look at the names that were on that team and how far they've gone since. The mentorship there, you know, really bringing him on as it was with Zeke as well. As such an underrated in-game leader in Tier 2, really. Like, the guy won a title with, what, 10-star back in 2022, playing in one of those EMEA events. And now, however many years later, 4 years later, he's a multiple VCL winner again, this time in Spain.
And I think, like, with the Bold and
Mais timeout
his path
por
maybe
parte do
taking a
UCAM.
different route, and I mean,
8-2
others
está muito
like,
difícil para eles.
eventually ended up on Enterprise. I think it's a bit sad to see Bold not get the opportunities.
Sure.
maybe at tier 1, obviously he's a player that I think a lot of people have forgotten about, considering that he was on that 10-star roster, which was like what, as you said, 4 years ago.
Yeah,
Ter estas duas rondas seria ótimo.
10-star, you're effectively blowing dust off the tomes.
Oh,
you know?
jeez, yeah.
A history lesson for everyone involved, but yeah, I think for in-game leaders, always much harder to break the mold, and even in current times, right, with the state of EMEA and its leadership problems, perhaps from tier 2 upwards, who knows what the future holds for him. But in terms of this round, it is UCAM back on a good buy. Yes, they don't have the pit this time, but that combo of the Nightfall and the Dimensional Drift could be absolutely huge in unlocking a site.
Yeah, I mean, UCAM with no more timeouts to use up here, so is just going to have to try and stick the landing for the rest of this map as the players try and send it on A.
Yeah, Biz coming out of the ult
Mas
does
jogada
find
aqui por parte
Yalpi
do Biz.
actually, and that's quite impressive considering how it started. Some of his ults sometimes not gaining the most
Ganharam
ground,
aqui o A.
but he has paved the way, a golden
Spike
road
plantado,
to
isto é
the A site for
8-3.
the spike to get
8-3.
planted.
Não podem morrer.
Spike down.
Look at Kron.
Yeah, I was going to say the rest of Vitality need to get into position, and I don't think they can bank on Kron rotating all the way over. That's going to eat into a crucial time bank.
Now just waiting for this paranoia. Durka ready to snatch at an opportunity with the blades in hand. Jumping straight in, goes for the right click. Glitch pop back now in his clutches.
4-3, 4-3, não podem morrer.
So still
4-2.
Vitality on the back foot here.
Muito bem jogado
Famzy
aqui por parte
putting
de
them
Famzy.
down. Profek won on the fadeaway, but now thinking about how he can save this operator. No one on the attack side there to challenge, but at the very least, UCAM have another foot to stand on. Third round now.
They get a lifeline, as you say, into the second half.
Agora meter a última ronda seria
Although
ótimo.
they can make that work on the pistol round's another thing entirely. One more round here, and they're absolutely laughing. But this really is a kind of different course that we're taking here for UCAM, because typically they win 60% of rounds on their attack, and to kind of put that into numbers, Hazza, that would be round about the 8 mark.
Yeah. They're on the flip side right now, though, and look, Vitality win one more, still with 2 timeouts banked into the second half. The game is at their leisure, almost. Kron spots balled early on one extremity, and Durka just executes Bisk on the other. Nightmare start for UCAM in a must-win round. Oh, just for a moment, you thought Profek was going to find a second through the smoke there. Sayonara still holding on to Garage. This one's over before it starts.
I mean, both players remaining can easily turn around on its head, but this Trailblazer is a disaster for the attempt at the clutch. And look at Vitality slowly moving in on this position.
He actually flashes over the top there, just collecting the info. A group moving in from behind means that Famzy has to take a duel sooner rather than later, or there's no way to fight himself out of this corner. Eventually, he does get backed against the wall.
Chegamos aqui ao fim da primeira parte, 9-3.
And Vitality in full control for this first half.
Vamos lá.
Find themselves at
Temos que ganhar este jogo.
comfortable 9-3, moving on
Vai
to
ser difícil.
an attack
Mas...
side. And I wonder how the side biases are going to go, because let's be honest, when we think of yesterday, UCAM had a very good defensive side. That's where most of the rounds were won. 9-3 was the scoreline that they got against Ulf, so wouldn't count them out just yet. We'll see how this pistol round goes as we start the second half.
Yeah, Vitality currently boasting a 72% win percentage in pistols. UCAM below 50, so I mean the stats would say that they're not too far away from winning this one right now, but as you mentioned, we bring up side biases. You're now moving to the attack with the Jet, with the Chamber. Now sure, the Jet plays itself the way you expect. You're dashing into sight, into your own smoke to try and create space a lot of the time. The Sky is there to set you up. But the Chamber is a very different game. And when we were speaking about macro earlier and maybe the attack kind of struggling at points for UCAM, I think Bald's best calling is on this half for sure.
Yeah, I mean, again though, we've spoke about it before in terms of the fact that the defense side can be easier, and I think Bromas as well as a coach, he's very good at like creating these set plays and working together. So I think that's why the defense does become a lot easier for a team like UCAM.
I mean, that was the story of the Dynasty team, which he coached with Famzy in Ascension, right? They were great at set pieces and great at retakes too. So let's
Vamos à
just see.
segunda parte, início.
Yeah, this could very quickly be
Vai ser aqui para o lado do C.
considering how the pistol round goes.
Temos aqui o
Vitality have
Bisque.
shown that they can fight back on a pistol round even after using or losing the first blood. So we see now the slow scale towards the C site. It's Bisque that's holding it down though.
Ui,
It's Bisque that's going to be
já não
relieved
tem
in his
entry.
duties.
Yeah, one thing about the chamber
Boa
is, of
smoke
course,
aqui
you
por
get the
parte do
headhunter and on
Wolf.
pistol rounds it can be a cheat code. Yampi still occupying garage, and actually
Já
Vitality
temos
do
aqui
just quickly pump the brakes.
Oliveira.
Oh.
Bald finds one, and
Bem
Ozero
jogado.
reclears solo and profits from it.
4 para
Sayonara
3.
still sat front B, and well, actually Vitality now trail by a player.
Yeah, and it's Prophet to go up against Jesse here as Jesse just walks straight out into main. Does grab a kill and a bit of damage towards Sayonara. So the last two remaining players, 38 points of health between them, but kills being gifted.
Yeah, but look how low they are, Kyra. I mean, it's two sheriffs that they're facing
Isto
against.
para
It's
2,
not gonna
temos
take
aqui
much. Well, not if Famzy doesn't turn around.
Oh, he's not done it. So the players now start to walk up, and Bold is walked away. He doesn't even realise the danger that he's in. Worried about C main as the orb
Bold
goes
tem
up.
que...
A reposition on log should allow
Bem
him to
jogado, Wolf.
survive.
Bem
The
jogado.
shots do come through in the end. A reposition of Cross here, but a little bit worrying in the end here.
Very cagey round. Felt like Vitality had so many layers set up to that pistol. They had Garage with Yampi, they had Sayonara from B as well, and you're like, okay, it's just a matter of time now since they find that first kill. And then all of a sudden, UCAM respond. Backs to the wall is some of the best Valorant I think they play, honestly. Cairo, one of the reasons why we lauded their defender's side is because of these re-clears. It's just Olazera that time, but it makes a world of difference.
Well, the UCAM have their platform in which to build through that pistol round win, and Vitality won't entertain any force.
I mean, with this being such a big step up in terms of opponent, everything considered in the VCT teams they've already beaten, sometimes it does just take, you know, a half behind you and talking in with the coach a couple of times to actually start to feel the game a little bit better. Unfortunately, it's their map pick to start this grand final, so
No, 4 aqui
they
todos
now have
separados.
to
Vamos
dig
aqui a
deep
tirar
and find a way to
informações.
recover this. But look, if they can keep the anti-eco clean, Cairo, then who knows? You go into a bonus where they
Isto vai
looked
ser
pretty
para o
good
lado, já estão
yesterday,
a
if I'm not
juntar.
mistaken, right? It was
Yeah.
UCAM that won like three, four
O
bonuses.
Bolt
Yeah,
vai
I
ter que
agree,
apanhar
yeah.
aquele.
We're pretty good on pistol rounds overall. Big thing here is Vitality, when you look at the kind of comp as well, always you compare the two right now, Hazza. What do you think about the fact that like it's a Sky and Jet combo rather than a Euro?
Bem jogado por parte do Bisque.
I mean, it's just
Bem
way
jogado.
more, you know, OG Valorant strats
Bem
for
jogado.
Vitality versus UCAM, which are in touch with the current meta and have ever so slightly, you know, adjusted it to suit their tastes. I think solo duelist Yoru is always really, really demanding on that player to have good utility usage, good coordination, but Bisque finds himself right at the center of the strategy of this team, and for good reason.
9-5.
I think as well, like considering the amount of time
Temos
that
que meter
UCAM
mais
had
3.
to try and build their team up and get it all working in their favour, right? I think that's like the extra layer that Vitality will go for once the team is comfortable with a composition like that. Flawless run by UCAM, very well played, but now this is where the game really starts.
Yeah, it is. 4
Isto vai ser
players
para o
on
lado
white
de novo.
shields for this bonus against Yampi's Outlaw.
Ui.
We've seen other in-game leaders in EMEA use this weapon off-roll, and that's one of
Ali
them.
3 entra a portas.
But it's the Viper of Sayonara right now, supported by Kron to just help get the insert there and put the trademark down to stop this
Bem jogado. Entra
proactivity,
aquele do
but
Bisque.
Bisque catches one on the way out. He's good for it again.
Temos aqui o Bolt. Vai já aqui apanhar
Two
2.
enemies and it's Bisque who comes out on top.
Yeah, and with that death as well, the trademark in sewers is pointless.
Gone. No effect whatsoever, and Bold has support through the Killjoy utility, should he need it. In fact, Olizera looks as if he's going to get into position. Not even
Olizera
a chance
aqui.
to fire back with Dirka and Prophet.
Já tem o
That
C.
C-site open.
Yeah, Vitality really going through the gears now, and UCAM need to find
4
some
para
kind
3,
of a pick
4 para 3
early.
a jogar com
Prophet is
calma.
guarding this high line though.
Yeah, it's Dirka.
Ui, bem jogado.
Walks into the smoke, but it does tee up Prophet, and that's the saving grace. So now we look at it, 3 versus 2. Prophet taking a lot of damage, and he'll back up to 100 because of Yampi.
Yeah, and Sayonara then backfilling the garage space. He's now waiting in window before he even gets a chance to
Famasi
do
aqui
anything.
sozinho.
We see Jesse fall there,
Já não vai
pushing out
fazer
from
nada.
CT, and Famsi is on borrow time. He will walk to the corner of Sayonara's screen in just a moment, and with the correction there, it makes for 10.
10-5.
Double digits. UCAM now finding themselves in a difficult spot. They need to answer back here and now, or we're going to find this map slip away from them very quickly. Got to think as well that with the buy in the position that they're in, they lose this, it's Vitality up to 11 and them on an equal round to defend 12.
Yeah, you saw nice ideas from Vitality in this round regardless. I mean, trying to get the trademark there is great, especially when you know that a lot of UCAM's game plan does rely on re-clearing this space, especially behind the
Ah,
Viper
temos
wall.
aqui a Operator na mão de
Global presence on
VIT.
the trip as well makes it
Isto...
stay online the whole duration of the round. And again, you can see Kron's going
Ui,
for another one. This
muita
one,
gente a vir para o lado do C.
deep long instead, towards the attack side. Bald's got to be careful here. He's been caught sleeping on a couple of angles in these last few rounds, and he's
Já
very
recuou, Bald.
lucky to survive that. Vitality now headed for C.
Yeah, and the lineups, a little bit of delay to come through. Double molly stack, and very easy for Dirka to collect. Kron on elsewhere, able to get one of his own. Olizera and Jesse holding things down in this moment in time, all from logs.
Bem jogado, Olizera. Só mais 2, Olizera. À esquerda.
With 7 bullets left, a reload would give away his position, and Vitality are well aware. So it is that nightmare scenario we spoke about, Hazard. UCAM have to defend 12 with little to no money.
Yeah, in modern day Valorant, you have to be so key with how you use your utility and what the timings look like. Vitality got it perfect here. Paranoia to set up Dirka on the entry when UCAM had so much stall that they could afford to get 3 bodies to hold back sight. It's expertly done, and now they're put onto a bad buy here to try and stoke the last few embers of this map. They've gambled on A.
Outra vez aqui para o lado do C, já estou a entrar. Bold sozinho.
Trying to hold things down. You thought Bold had it right with the fact that he put the molly down first, but has it. Vitality are just on
E
another
temos aqui o
level
12-5.
And that's sort of what we feared, anticipated coming into this one, that there is a real difference between a Vitality team which are pushing for those top spots in the region. They want to go to Masters, they want to be there at Champs, and an UCAM side which maybe doesn't even have collectively the most experience at an Ascension level. Sayonara has been waiting so long to take the spotlight for himself, and on this round, a couple more from him puts them.
Ainda consegue pescar aqui alguns.
Yeah. Flawless round from Vitality just shows you the
Sem dinheiro para a última ronda.
That shows you the gap between the flawless and not. But it just shows you the prowess
Está
of
terminado.
this, what seems to be finally the super team that we expected. Couple of shaky
Temos
rounds
aqui
here
o
and there,
VIT
but
com uma
overall,
Operator 5 verde.
Vitality have looked absolutely excellent.
And that's the old trope, right? Super team. But
Vamos já
are
ver o
they
que é
going
que
to
eles
play
vão
like
fazer
this
aqui.
every game against every opponent? That's what we're waiting to find out, honestly. And it's rounds like this that, or sort of, maps like this that maybe get you a little bit excited. But again, you just got to put that asterisk on it. This is a mid-season event at best. From 3rd place in Blender to at least 2nd here.
Jesse has an idea of Sayonara's position, but as he pings it out, also needs to be careful of Kron's scaling as he escapes all the way out towards A.
Entre aquilo aqui por parte da Vitality. Bisca distribuir aquilo.
There's also scaling towards C long.
Ainda vai caçar mais um
This
Bisca.
is very nicely done by the defense.
Yeah, they are
Ui, vou
spread
entrar
quite
aqui para o
thin,
B.
though, and I think Vitality have very quickly highlighted that there is a gap in the middle of the map. pick goes up. Bit of patience as it floods out onto the site and fully blooms, just to make sure that nothing's going wrong. But I mean, look at Bald, he has not stopped walking. He's right behind them now.
Yeah, he is, but if he goes towards
Ui,
window,
temos
he's
aqui o
going to
Bald
be
nas
known about
costas
because there's
deles.
a trap there. Oh, sorry, it's not the trap. It's actually the TP. So Yampi gets caught out. Vamsi wins the duel against Kron.
4 para
That
2.
Spike is now lost. Vitality with
Temos a
30
Spike.
seconds left are still
O Bold vai ter que
standing
caçar
still.
atrás de ti,
And
Bold.
Sayonara has a decision to make. He wants to keep the pit up so
Ui.
they have the B control, but might just need to leave it to help Profek here get the spike back. Looks like the timer's going to be alright for him in the end, but yeah, Profek now joining him in the fumes to finish what they started.
Yeah, unfortunately the spam also goes Bald's way.
Atenção, bem
Reveal
jogado.
excellent. I mean, after all the compliments that we gave, I think this is the first time in a long time
Nada
we can
está
really
perdido
say
ainda.
it's a caster's curse, because Vitality has
Vamos lá.
makers of their own demise.
Yeah, it was, you know, a round which took a while to get going, and actually we are going to see a timeout here. First opportunity
Timeout
for
para
Pal and
Vitality.
Scott to talk things over. Interesting narrative point, I suppose. They came under fire after kickoff by a few people who sort of misunderstood the comments that Kron was making at the time, talking about difficulties that there'd been with preparation. But both Chronicle and Pal, of course, have been very candid from the Spike Drop podcast. That their performances in stage 1 is where people are really going to have to start to judge them, you know. Again, these things take time. And it's rounds like that maybe where you see that, yeah, there are still a couple of missing pieces here and there.
Yeah, I think so. Do you know what? Like, that's the thing, the frustrating thing for a team like Vitality is they essentially lose a full split with Sayonara to get things kicked off. Maybe the LFO, yeah, sure, they start to understand the system, but Sayonara has to watch from the sidelines and kind
Grande
of
problema aqui é o C.
lose out on a month or 2 months worth of prac.
I think it'll be interesting if we get to the decider and see Vitality's bind again, because I would say that's one of the maps where, you know, they struggled in VCT but did great in off-season when they had the 5, and just Sayonara playing on the Sky instead of Unfake, how much of a difference is it going to make? Just have to wait and see. As it stands, the ball is in their court, 12 rounds to 6, and only 6 opportunities for UCAM to force an extension of play
Mais
here,
uma
as
que
they
eles vão
were
jogar
able to
para
do
o...
against Ulf.
Pode ser.
14-12 in the end on Haven, but that was the last map in a long series, and it's taken them a while to grow into this.
Bald trying to hide within the corner.
Já vai entrar.
Zera will be there to support.
Okay.
This already. Yampi and Derka, the Finns combine, and Chronicle
Está o
as well.
13-6.
So I think this is very much looking like it will be in Vitality's favour.
A
Muito
ton of
difícil
luck,
dar
that's
retake.
for sure. 3 kills through the wall. Some of
Já
them with
ganharam
players
tudo
spotted,
aqui.
some not so much, but that just
Ganharam o
comes
B
from
todo.
understanding the map. And now Vitality fully closed in on this CT piece.
Tá aí o
Derka
13-6.
already looking to finish things off. Best trying to deny Vitality their opportunity at winning their map, at winning UCAM's pick, but it will not happen. Vitality win 13-6.
Mas era para o
And not only
Vitality.
is it UCAM's map,
Voltamos
but
no
it is
próximo
their
mapa.
home ground and then some. As I said multiple times throughout the cast, they haven't lost it
da ribalta com o Spotify Premium. Cria, organiza e ouve playlists sem interrupções, mesmo offline. Aproveita 2 meses por 4,50€ agora e cancela quando quiseres. Toca na faixa para saberes mais.
Ouve a música perfeita para o momento. Pôr a festa a bombar ou descomprimir e descansar. Organiza a banda sonora do teu dia no Spotify Premium para ouvires música sem anúncios e teres transferências offline. Toca na faixa para saberes mais.
Wearing that dress and red lipstick. This is what I wanted, this is what I like. I've been a good girl for a long time, but baby I love flirting, a lover by my side. Can't be a good girl even if I tried. Cause after midnight, I'm feeling kinda freaky. Maybe it's the club lights. I kinda wanna kiss your girlfriend if you don't mind. I love a little drama, let's start a bar fight. Cause everything good happens after midnight. I'm feeling kinda freaky, maybe it's the moonlight. I kinda wanna kiss your boyfriend if you don't mind. I love a little, let's watch the sunrise. Cause everything good happens after. I really want your hands on my body. A slow dance, baby, let's get it on. That's my type of fun, that's my kind of party. Your hands on my body, your hot hands. This is what I want, this is what I like. I've been a good girl for a long time, but baby I love flirting, a lover by my side. Can't be a good girl even if I tried. Cause after midnight, I'm feeling kinda freaky. Maybe it's the club lights. I kinda wanna kiss your girlfriend if you don't mind. I love a little drama, let's start a bar fight. Cause everything good happens after midnight. I'm feeling kinda freaky. Maybe it's the moonlight. I kinda wanna kiss your girlfriend if you don't mind. I love a little, let's watch the sunrise. Cause everything good happens after midnight. Baby, put your hands up, your feet in the club. Yeah, I'll make a move, then we're making love. Yeah, we're making, make love. Yeah, we're making, make love. You freak in the club, you freak in the club, yeah. After midnight, I'm feeling kinda freaky. Maybe it's the club lights. I kinda wanna kiss your girlfriend if you don't mind. I love a little drama, let's start a bar fight. Cause everything good happens after midnight. I'm feeling kinda freaky. Maybe it's the moonlight. I kinda wanna kiss your girlfriend if you don't mind. I love a little, let's watch the sunrise. Cause everything good happens after. It's fine, it's cool, you can say that we are nothing, but you know the truth. And guess I'm the fool with her arms out like an angel through the car sunroof. I don't wanna call it off, but you don't wanna call it love. You only wanna be the one that I call baby. You can kiss 100 boys in bars, shoot another shot, try to stop the feeling. You can say it's just the way you are, make a new excuse, another stupid reason. Good luck, babe. She showed me things I didn't know.
Vamos lá, vamos lá. Vai começar aqui o segundo mapa.
That are gonna be actually that useful. There are no true
Pick the
flashes.
vitality.
There's only blind, and that's on Omen and on the Fade. And the Fade one, we all know it's not really reliable, right? And then you look at Vitality, and they have, even though they play a chain bet that
temos
doesn't
aqui
have any
troca de
utility,
personagens.
you have so much util on Yoru and on Phoenix. You have to worry about any kind of execute. You're standing on site, you're anchoring, and you're gonna be just hit.
Vamos ver agora com a Viper. Temos aqui o Bolt que mudou da Viper para 6. E o Beast.
From Phoenix, because that's the first
O
one
Beast também
that is
mudou
like
de
the shortest
personagem.
range, right? Then you have a flash from Yoru that can be over the wall or just being pushed in the backside,
como é que
and now
isto
you're
vai.
being blinded twice in a row, like chain blinded by those characters. So anchoring the side is gonna be very tough and a tall task for anyone apart from Sage, because Sage can use those tools to physically make the push a little bit slower. But again, it's like, just on paper, I would say that the team that is playing the Phoenix Yoru is gonna have a higher chance at success on this map than this Sage and Rayleigh composition.
I'm actually very curious to see what the Sage does against this Vitality composition. We've talked about it a lot in this pre-match, but now it is time to see what it actually does with our caster, Aza and Kero.
Yes, moving on to Vitality's map pick now, where they already have a one-map lead in the series, is a scary thing for UCAM in the Omega final. We might just be one map away from crowning the first of our two champions here, Cairo. And with the comments about the composition behind us, yeah, I can't help but agree. I feel like what Vitality are running isn't the most common. We've seen a few teams run it. I think of Paper X, for example, as a good in Pacific. Maybe KC as a bad, and Vitality, look, we're still trying to posture where exactly they are. But yeah, this is a great opportunity for them now to seal this series 2-0 and keep it clean.
Yeah, I think with the record that they have so far on Corrode, even with a substitute, we're expecting them to come out and show us the goods here. That's the thing that we expect for UCAM. Corrode, obviously, not had the most practice when it comes to what they've actually like kind of had in terms of quality. I think that's it, like the quality of opponent. But with playing it 5 times, won at 4, you can't knock them.
No, you can't, right? And I mean, look, still they're a capable team. They will be scrimming tier 1 teams for their practice sessions, of course, but when you put that in face of Vitality's record, it pales in comparison, right? They've played it 8 times. They haven't lost it once, and that was since the organization was formed, since the map has come into the active pool. So, yeah, I think, honestly, the odds are very much against them here, but we will just have to see how it is that they end up faring. It's a slight delay before we get into the game, but hopefully that will be resolved, Cairo. And yeah, I gotta say, look, can you see a world where UCAM turn this around? And if so, then what do they have to do right?
I think if we were going to see UCAM turn this around, there had to be signs of life on Haven, and that's for me just why it's so Vitality favoured. Yeah, I mean, yesterday we saw it, right? They were always combating what Ulf wanted to do. There was always some signs of resistance, but here, even when they were on equal rounds, for the most part, I just did not see it. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, I think maybe we have to see a bit of a drop-off in terms of the level from Vitality in general anyway, and whether that comes from UCAM forcing their hand or not remains to be seen. But I have to say, this is a team where when you look at the results that they had in kickoff, especially when those individuals were not performing, then they did really struggle to keep themselves in it. And yeah, maybe that's just a case of things taking time to actually build up connections, build those partnerships, and keep things going. Because, you know, some of it has been carried over from former teams. You can talk about the time that Kron and Durka spent on Fnatic as a prime example, perhaps, but I think at the same time, it's been a few years since they actually played with each other, and Kron was talking so much about how he says Durka's a different player now, you know, he's matured. Yeah, you have the players from BBL, coming onto this Vitality team and the coaching staff as well, but that is also a very different system with a very different style of play, so not everything's completely transferable. Look, we'll just have to see.
Yeah, we will, and I think like that's the other aspect that we have to consider, is that many things can change as we head into game. So as we do that, Hazard, we now get to have a look at what both are putting forward. Obviously, the Whaley and the Sage, big questions there, and with how that works with a double controller, because usually you expect the Whaley to be combined with some fast-hitting utility, like a Sova, maybe the Breach or the KO.
I'd say actually the Teho was a pretty good one for this one in the past, right? I remember G2 were running Sage on this map for a little bit in the run-up to Champs and during Champs, I believe it was, but something that they eventually pivoted away from. UCAM starting on the defense though, and yeah, as I say, with the double controller, with the Sage, it's about simplifying the map, cutting down the angles, and already Bald taking that first orb towards the res. Remains to be seen how impactful that could become, but for now, Vitality splitting B through middle.
Yeah, and unfortunately splitting B through towards Olizera, who's already collected his first kill, but I don't think he'll be able to get much more considering the damage headed his way. UCAM are on the hunt to get back towards B, but in the meantime they've lost so many.
Yeah, mid-control is huge for this retake though. All Bald has to do is stave off this aggression. Vitality taking elbow control back for themselves.
Yeah, that extra real estate will be huge for this attack and the post plant. As you said, now all the pressure gets put on Bald. He identifies that Vitality want to take this space, and he's like a princess in a tower, unfortunately thrown out the window as Vitality look to stop any defuse coming through. An advantage in numbers, and Jesse actually pulls things back. They grab well to delay, but UCAM still have control of Spike, control of the round. Up to Profek now, and that Spike is being diffused, mate. You need to swing. Does show at the right time though, and with time ticking away, Famsi needs to win, and just has enough time.
Barely. It is down to an eighth of a second, but UCAM have got the pistol. I think the key moment for me in that round is Bald playing disciplined enough in Heaven to not go ahead and take one of those fights, inviting the pressure, and all of a sudden, Vitality's post plant feels a little weaker. They didn't have any presence towards main. They were 3 players in towards that area. Profek's re-wrap a little late. And after the first kill, I genuinely thought he might have had it, but no. Well worked from Famsi in the end. And so another pistol round for UCAM here. It's their second in this series, this one coming a little bit earlier than the last.
Now, with that pistol round win, we've seen it before where UCAM can really start to scale things up. Unfortunately, Yampi maybe a bit too aggressive there, as the rest of the players now try to follow things up. And Paranoia will dissuade them from doing that.
Yampi probably hoping that the Astra stun had actually hit. This is an agent that we know Profek can play. He sort of picked it up last year a little bit more, because I think before, you know, he was an Omen guy, he was a chamber player back in 2022, so look, he's been on a real development path, and a flawless second round for UCAM puts them in a brilliant position now to go ahead and win another one of those bonuses.
Yeah, I think with the bonus round, I think that's a question to be had actually. Maybe if I drop back to that, it's like, are the bonus rounds successful because of how easy the eco rounds are for them, right? How well they kind of move through an anti-eco, or just how unchallenged they are?
Yeah, it definitely feels like a component of it. Now back on this map for the first time since winning in OT against Besiktas. Hoping for an upset here against Vitality. Call it what it would be. Presence fell on A early, and Durka walking all the way up into elbow, using that blaze wall, and still on the other side of the map, Bald trying to fight this.
His old teammate, but Kron goes detected, sorry. Dolizera identifying the luck coming through. There is 4 bodies to this side of the map.
And as Lothar was saying on the desk at the start, Vitality trying to spread them thin, right? You can see Durka's in the corner here. He's ready for this.
Is he? That's the question as the players swing through. Turka very quick on the trigger to get rid of Jesse. Now has to try and get rid of the fade of Famsi. UCAM right now winning all the duels. The simple mistakes allow Vitality to lose out. We've seen the Vitality have convincing results in the first map and let things slip in the second. Before that was against GX, still able to win that out, but a very convincing bonus round from UCAM. on what can be a very defensive-sided map.
Yeah, look, they have been very good at these. And as I said, they were able to win a couple the other day as well against Ulf. There's a huge component in them being able to overturn the deficit and win that across 3 maps. Here, feels like, again, they're making some of the right decisions when it comes to the push and pull of the map on the extremities. And Vitality feeling a little bit disconnected in some of these moments, I think, but we'll just have to track. Yeah, it gives them the opportunity actually now to start building their empire a little bit more. It's taken a while for Durka to get close to the run it back. He hasn't taken the orb in A main for the fear that UCAM would be testing him, and it's Chronicle the linchpin right now, which holds all of this together. He is stopping any players from pushing up middle, as Lothar said. Has the TP. And look, we're still on pistols here for Vitality, but UCAM have got to be careful.
A quick TP away.
30 seconds left.
And Vitality now begin to scale on. Flashes in the legs can easily get players off the angles and into more favourable fights. Sayonara with a rifle in his hand is good enough to win some of these duels.
Numbers here though, Cairo, and barely any time to get the plant in, so Sayonara is just going to watch this one slip away from him. Let's pick up Famzi. I mean, Kron needed to win that fight if there was half a chance, and Bisk, with a scope weapon in his hands, is just untouchable right now.
Yeah, you look at this composition that UCAM are running, and Haza, for me, I would say it's pretty much defender-sided, right? At least 3, maybe 4 out of those 5 agents. So I'm wondering, how does that look like on the attack? So at this moment in time, the way the trend is going is what I would kind of expect if both teams were on an even playing field.
Yeah, UCAM should be batting for 8-9 rounds here, if possible. That is a tall order, of course, and we know they fell short on Haven, but hoping for a better chance here. Nice recall of the smoke to give Yumpy half a chance, and he will take the next that he's presented with. Bisk falling. And Bald just 1 away from the res, so no opportunity to bring him back up on his feet just yet. Olazera mid-inquisition in the meantime, and with the wall up, a chance for him to fade away. He commits to it and overstays his welcome in the end.
That is the issue, is now Vitality keep their advantage, and now they have a chance to go wherever they would like, really, at this point in time, considering how thinly spread UCAM will be.
Missed shot from Kron, but having already rescinded the player advantage for UCAM, Vitality in full control, or so it would seem. Bald does get the fight he was looking for, though, and that does bring Bisk back into the fray. Vitality moving towards an A site though, and Durka also giving himself an extra lease on life with this ultimate. Famzi's hands are tied.
Kron now has to play the foundation, the one to guard Durka's body, as the re-clear is coming through from Bald.
Sayonara also just catching wind of the position of Famzi in the meantime. Bald again being the hero of his side, the captain clearing forwards, and with players towards the spike now, Bisk goes for the first tap, but doesn't find the duel that comes thereafter. Sayonara looking sharp at this stage in the round, and between him and Durka, they fall to deeper positions.
Tap of the spike will bait out the ulti though, Haza.
And it's not found anything just yet, but it is keeping UCAM honest. There's nothing left for them in this one. Durka pulls 3 out of the hat, and Vitality break the ice.
Yeah, the first crack into UCAM's challenges that they've been pushing forward, right? As Vitality get through, and it comes through a lot of individual engagements, 1 versus 1s, and I don't really know what's going on. UCAM did well to put themselves in positions where you'd go, hey, do you know what, this is doable, but a lot of the time they were allowing Vitality to have one-on-ones.
It definitely feels like Vitality have been winning that mid-duel at the moment. The crux of the map so important for the defenders, shaving 10 seconds off the rotation or so every time, and I have to say that B side of the map does look weak in the last few seconds of the round each time, and Bisk just leaves a little bit too much of himself exposed there. Profek with a huge opening kill, especially the fact that he had the ult.
Yeah, with Bisk off the board, he's the one who really is the danger man on the defense. You don't want to cross an angle, you want to be able to try and define if there's going to be an operator out. And Vitality will be a team who knows that there's op money available, and that Bisk will be very quickly opting to find a scoped weapon.
Said it many times before, but a lot of UCAM's game plan does rely on him doing that. Now this is cheeky from both, but yeah, you can't kid a kidder. Chronicle has seen that one before.
I like it though.
It's a nice idea. I mean, it's one thing to play the Odin, right? Pick it up, look for a spray, but if you don't know your angles, then it means nothing. And well, Olazera has found a pocket to play in. This could go overlooked by Vitality, but considering Sayonara's position, he's exposed enough to just take the contact and it go traded.
Yeah, and Vitality have so much time that they're donating ultimate orbs to Derka to get the run it back online.
15 seconds, so much time. I mean, I know what you mean, right? They have breathing room in the site,
yeah,
but it's the confidence to just commit to that, which is admirable. Looks like Famsy's trying to save the op here, and I think he'll be successful in doing so.
Yeah, fairly.
Look at Profek, though.
Yeah, not only just Profek, Yampi is also searching, so Famzy under pressure right now. Jesse probably in the safest of spots, but this will be a crunch.
Yeah, and he's dead. There's no way that he turns around to look for Profek at this stage. Saw it coming from a mile away, and well, Vitality understand the reason why they have to hunt. Even looking at the money, I mean, you got two players on less than 1,000 credits. Not much better. And still, they understand. We remove that operator. What have UCAM got beyond that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, just I think there was op money still on one of the players. I think it actually was Bold. Whether he wants to donate one to Bisk is another thing entirely. But overall, yeah, I think Vitality are starting to understand exactly how this defense works and what strings to pull. That operator will be here, but probably for what looks like the last round.
Yeah, because the money has taken a severe hit. Initial utility coming in, and Bisk just playing a patient game, waiting to go ahead and take that fight off. The fact that Chronicle's going to win it anyway. So it's another round where UCAM go 4v5, and this time it's even worse. 3 versus 5. Missing key ultimates coming into the late stages of this round. I would be surprised if they make an effort at this.
Yeah, I mean, you might be good with the operator Bisk, but you are also playing against what is the best player that you could arguably have ever seen in Valorant, right? Different game. Milcron's not been the biggest player. He's got the quality. Man. I mean, that's his second time.
And it's the third time in total. I don't know. I saw it when I was watching one of the VODs back. I mean, imagine how scary that is at 2x speed, but yeah. It's far from ideal. Bit of a surprise for UCAM after those first 4 rounds though, Cairo. Vitality right back in this. They keep it flawless, and I think that's the money gone.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not actually.
Yeah, but it's certainly the timeout gone. That's the big thing to come out here. Bromas not happy with how things are going. Remember in that first half of Haven, expended 2 timeouts to try and get his team back on side. And yeah, I mean, very quick on the trigger if needed. And his interjections, I wonder what he's going to change since Vitality have started winning.
Yeah, on the Vitality side, you can perhaps even draw a comparison to GX yesterday. I was perhaps a little bit harsh with their lack of timeouts, but I think as a VCT roster, you come into this event knowing what it is that you want to work on, right? You treat it as official practice. And quite clearly, I think both Pal and Scott pretty happy with what they've seen so far, and just allowed things to ride out themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's
like just adding on to that Bromas point really quickly, I think probably need to see a change up in terms of what it is that they're doing right now in regards to mid control. We saw that boost from Bald on the previous, but actually Vitality not really doing too much with it.
Yeah, they're not. And I think as well, the other aspect to it is how much UCAM want to peak the mains, and you can see the value that Kron's getting from that. B main was where the siege wall was continuously going down, trying to stop players get from there, and Vitality looking to do what they can with
Bola
that.
supposed to aparecer aí.
Looks like there might just be a slight pause before we get back in, but yeah, Bisq, such an important part to play in this one, and as we were saying, how Profek is against his former teammate Bald. Well, Bisq is playing against Sayonara, someone who he will vividly remember from his time on KPI. You and I were talking about it just before the broadcast. That run in 2024, probably his best chance at making a swing at Tier 1 in his career, right? Full stop. Someone who's been playing in CIS for a long time, or at least was at the beginning of the game. He was facing Durka and Chronicle there. Never beat Kron and that Gambit side, but fun one for you, the team that he faced Durka on. The lineup for it. Any ideas? Who was on that team?
CIS team.
Old one. Crow Crowd. Called.
Mas estava com uma economia muito grande.
We had Foya. I think that's how you say it, right? Foya.
Yeah.
XLG head coach.
Yeah.
We had Cloud as well.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
And a couple others. So yeah, it was.
Others just
I mean, I can name them, but not household. Sure. You know what? Fine. Shout out to Dreams and Panic.
Yeah. Big up bad boys.
Yeah. Oh, and Juno as well. Actually, played on Na'Vi for a little bit before partnerships. Twisted Minds like a year ago. So
yeah,
there you go, man. I mean, there is history there. There is history. Your history teacher has concluded the class. The bell is done, and we're back.
For those who don't know, Hazard does actually have a history degree. So
barely. Yeah, barely.
Hey, you still have one?
Skipping my seminars to get trains up to Scotland to cast Valorant, man. I mean, I don't know how that happened.
Well, what a different timeline would be if you hadn't done that.
Yeah, very true. And you too, perhaps. Who knows?
Hey, who knows entirely? What I can tell you is after the timeout, we're now finally in. That mid-control that UCAM wanted to go for has happened, but the left scarpering as Vitality come in with the cleaver and butcher anybody in their sight. Famsy going off the board. No re-clear ability on this defense.
Something that would have been talked about in the timeout, obviously, was the mid issue, but Vitality have just waited to receive, invited all of that pressure, and hit back 10 times harder with their own utility. Now a double ult combo towards this A site.
Yeah, and it's Durka to use the run it back to at least clear this space. And I mean, with shotguns in the mix, it's not going to be the greatest as Bald is sitting on site. The Blaze Wall, I mean, you can see the Bucky trying to get damage in. It's actually been fairly successful, but overall Vitality not really bothered all too much. So it's up to a clutch from Alizera.
I mean, this is a big round for Vitality anyway. They're quite happy to spend the ults because they know that UCAM are on weird money at this point in time. I think with max loss bonus, they'll be fine. We've got Sayonara and Profek sat in the corner of the Cosmic Divide playing contact off Durka. It's so sweaty. You don't even need it at this point in time. They are all good. Another flawless for Vitality on this attack, and we are right back at an even score.
Yeah, straight back in. Vitality with 4 of their own to UCAM's start of 4. And yeah, the mid play certainly looked better. That looked like the adaptation, but just straight off the back there, from what I could see from the pre-round, is nobody else heading towards mid for this next round.
Yeah,
I think the big thing that Bromas would have been saying is, guys, no peeking on your own. Don't give too much away.
It feels like such a simple read as well to counter from Vitality's perspective on what you saw on the previous, but it's incredibly efficient. And yeah, even just the little setups, the micro towards the end of the round, surplus to requirements, but there if necessary. Kron would like to have been flashed on the line there, but Durka is, and Vitality have managed to gut out at least the initial A main space before moving into the courtyard.
Yeah, and now the re-clear through mid comes in, and it's only Bold really here as Famzy is being called over. Pressure being put on multiple parts of the map as Vitality start to work it in their direction.
Yeah, Profect just gets a freebie onto Bisc. Slow walking back onto an angle like that with the op scoped in. So hard to hit the shot in time and not do yourself a disservice. It's more than one occasion now where he has been punished for this. We're not seeing the same kind of impact. Vitality moving towards B though, and it's into the anchors that they're heading with a surplus of utility.
Unfortunately, one has been burned alive. I don't know what's happened there. As Famzy's trying to support this mid play, but that spike is on the floor, and time isn't Vitality's friend at the moment, and that may have just cost them the round as UCAM comes straight in with a haymaker. This could be a disaster, in fact it is. Unfortunately for UCAM, or for Vitality, apologies, this round is done.
And even Bull just running away at the end there with time so low, knowing that the plant come in. It's smart heads-up play, and honestly, a little bit overcomplicated from Vitality when they had a simple option in front of them. I think the call from Yampi, at least to me, with him holding the spike bottom mid, was let's create a little bit of pressure on B. You can see Kron is actually walking out on A as well, ready to close in from Link. So let's create the B pressure and then let's finish A, because Kron's already got the space for us. But with how split up and far apart from one another it was in the end, just didn't look great.
Operator versus operator. A big 50-50 Bisc versus Kron, but fortunately for Bisc, he's forced off the angle just by a jump peak.
Bisc conceding a lot of space. The smoke is just here to reinforce. Yumpy snuck all the way out on B though, and Olazera keeping half an eye on it from the angle is good for information, but already look how far he can afford to go. He's fake cloned it. Yumpy's gonna die to the molly after the fact. Olazera maybe should have been concerned when he saw that there was a clone in his molly, or so he thought.
Oh, mate. So
he put the clone out as well, so I think there were two Yorus, like, sat in the corner. Am I crazy? Like,
no, because he put the Euro outside to give steps on site, and then pretended to be a clone.
I mean, usually it was Durka in the past, made a name for himself doing that, but hey, if it works, it works. 4 versus 3. Finally, we see this retake attempt from UCAM. But it just falls flat. Bisc trying to hightail out of there, but Kron has it covered, and we are again at an even standing. Cairo, got to check back in on what we were saying about scorelines here. UCAM needed, 7, 8, 9 rounds. They are going to be lucky to get 7 at this point.
Yeah, I think 7 is an ultimate win for this defense. And yeah, this is mental. This is mental. Yeah, seven's going to be the ultimate win here for the defense. And when you look at the buy, it gives you little to no hope. That's the worst part about it. And you have an execute ultimate on Vitality. They have everything they need.
We've seen a few times in the past where Sage has looked decent on attack side, but that was part of these double sentinel compositions most of the time. And here, the wall up doesn't net much value, but in saying that, Famzy finding another kill. Stinger here could have been an issue, but Sayonara, the 17-year-old, sets them up for success. 1 week away to the day from being eligible for VCT. And he has unlocked the A site for Vitality.
Yeah, and when you look at this post-plant utility that it's got, Vitality should have no issues getting this over the line.
It's a bit of an empty threat here, especially against Kron on this Outlaw, and there you have it. As I was saying, a 4th and final off-season event for Sayonara with a VCT roster. spent 2 on Fnatic, and this his second for Vitality before making that full debut next stage. Highest rated player across the board this event, highest KD, almost 2 at this stage. And I gotta say, just probably the most anticipated talent I think we've had in a very, very long time.
Yeah, and I mean, considering that like we were comparing someone like Causey to Sayonara in the way that he entered this scene, Kron's just gonna sit on the angle and Bisk wallbangs it. Kron obviously not anticipating that, and well played from Bisk.
Yeah, but what can UCAM do from this position now? They're very heavy on the flank, and as soon as Vitality realise that the B site is at their disposition, then it's a huge opportunity for them to reach a post plant. I think you've got to be considering the ults that the defenders have though right now. UCAM happy to play for a retake with what they've got.
Cosmic Divide goes in from the attack, and it's only a little pocket in which you can actually plant the spike. Derka identified through the Omen ultimate, but Olizera catches Derka off guard. So as the train of Vitality players try and clear out the site, the spike will go down.
Yeah, they need a leg to stand on right now, Vitality. They don't have one. Sayonara looks main and drops. That might just be it.
Could be. Looks like it is. Prophet has been pretty sharp with his rifle. Can he show us the goods once more? First couple of kills were good. Unfortunately, could not get the last 3. So Vitality and UCAM will finish the half at 6-6.
Bull getting himself an extra plant on the scoreboard, which will show up at the end of the game by walling Bisk away. Opportunity for UCAM to build a little bit of confidence, perhaps. Couple of rounds out of the 4 play towards the end, and with the timeout used, they've put themselves in a decent position, but I think really you just, again, have to commend the comeback from Vitality in this game so far. And the fact that after winning the first 4 rounds, we do end the half at 6-all. UCAM moving on to a side which, you know, on paper, wouldn't have them down as it being preferential, but remains to be seen how much they can get out of this solo waylay, which can be so demanding.
Yeah, I think like for me, I understand that Sage can support in long-range utility, right, and with those slow orbs, but I really do struggle to see how this works in terms of a fast-paced execute that you normally associate a waylay with.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the team composition that they're playing here, no flashes. Yeah, the best setup really that you have is Bisk being the player that just dives straight in, refracts, and then you use that information for the rest of the team to take the fight. You're an entry, but you're not the entry fragger, I suppose. It's a very different role. Quite a fun first half. Very enjoyed this moment here of Yampi. A little unlucky with the molly timing, I guess, but sometimes that's just how it goes. 6-all Cairo. We'll have to see if UCAM have what it takes to flip this one into a 3rd map.
Yeah, that's one for the ranked book, to be honest. Nice little...
6-6, vamos lá, ronda de pistola aqui para a parte do A.
UCAM start things off on the east side of the map. And there'll be little to no issue here as they dive straight in.
Bom avanço de Bisk.
Committing to this head first, round the corner with a shorty, misses the first shot, and that's what
kill
stops
Vitality.
Prophet from falling. Ward off towards Link. UCAM with their backs to the wall again. Have their own toxic screen here to potentially get a plant in front of, but there is no second layer, no option to get out, and so Vitality start to close in, and when they do, it's a death sentence. Couple back. 2-on-2.
Muito bem jogado.
Now Sayonara has to just wait for Chronicle to arrive.
Yeah, needs to play careful, wait for the chamber to get into position. And you look at this, has 6 headhunter bullets.
Sayonara also with a shock, and maybe he's got a lineup here to try and bounce it onto default. Kron in the meantime just getting ever closer, and with the first shoulder spotted, starts to pull the trigger. Fancy finds it instead though. That is excellent work from the Finn.
Temos aqui Sayonara
just Sayonara remaining. Alzera trying to bait the contact, but he goes down and there is no trade. Shock dart drop to the feet of Famsies. Even lower now, just 53 points of health, but still Sayonara needs one headshot or a couple in the body if he's gonna win this. 3 bullets left to play with.
Fazer tempo
Just
aqui,
the one of the
Famasi.
ops for the reload. Famsi playing a slow game, but Sayonara will slay him in the end.
Temos aqui o 7-6.
Pistol round for Vitality. And
Era
for
só
the
fazer
first
mais
time,
bocado de
they
tempo.
take the lead.
Sayonara has just been a steady ship, a solid 8 throughout this series, showing up in individual moments of brilliance and just such a steady aim as well. Clutch, no panic, you can
Vamos
see
ter
that
aqui
he feels like
force
he's been in
por
this
parte de
position
Cam.
a million times. And yeah, I mean, Vitality winning that pistol might just break UCAM's chances because the momentum can't get started on the attack. We already seen what UCAM could do considering their pistol round win. I mean, let's see what Vitality can do because they've got an even higher skill set.
Era só fazer tempo aqui.
Yeah, UCAM actually going for the 4 spy right out of the replay and straight into the thick of it.
4-3.
Right to a crisp. Durka even
3-3.
getting another after the fact, but there are rifles on the ground. The courtyard now coloured red with Vitality blood, and UCAM unrelenting in their efforts, still trying to escalate this further and get the plant in.
Vitality already beginning to wrap round.
Full wrap round, all 3 players present on the roll call, and it has caught UCAM completely blindsided. Flash in
Temos
for
aqui
good
o
luck, but
8-3,
it matters not. Vitality have their 8th, and with that 4 spy fallen, you only now feel that that 9th is a guarantee.
Yeah, I think with it now heading in this direction, Vitality, yeah, I think they're going to start to really kick on, really find it difficult on the attack as well, with spike plants being denied, with bodies not even able to get onto the spike hazard. This is where the issues will really come through, and a 4 spy not coming in as well. Oh, sorry,
Vamos
not
ter
a
aqui
4
egg
spy
por
coming
parte
in,
dos
but
Cam.
not being able to make it succeed. That's where I
Parece que
begin
vão
to
jogar
worry.
aqui para o B.
Yeah, I think UCAM at points in this series have really pushed Vitality, and they can take great pride in that. It's just in some of these key moments maybe where they're showing a little less experience, and here Yampi not getting cleared
3 para
means
5.
that Vitality
Era bom
can
tentar,
drop back deep
tentar
into
roubar
the site
armas.
hold, stacked with bodies, the trademark there
Temos aqui a
as
Alizera.
well.
Vai confrontar aqui Perfect.
Unless Olizera can start one-tapping people towards A, it doesn't feel like there's any out for this attack side.
Perfect. Yeah, just going to use his own smoke against him. UCAM may be a little bit desperate here, considering they are on the eco. If all 3 though do want to start to head back towards B, but it is back towards Chronicle.
Yeah, it's not going to get any easier, the task of winning the duels here. I'm not sure where the TP is placed, and well, maybe we'll never know. It is inside the site itself, and that's actually perfect
Eita,
to find Jesse. Was wondering for a
Miséria, não
moment
consegue
maybe if
matar
he was
aqui
playing
um.
with the elevation, but no. Chronicle by the book, and Sayonara. You can talk about being the sword and shield of the team. It's the bow and arrow here, which he was looking to win the round with, but I'll tell you for free, that is not Katniss Everdeen, and so it is just the pistol in the end.
Yeah, that's a bit disrespectful, Sayo. Come on, man. You can't be chucking that in, but very well played. And yeah, Vitality, just again looking to build momentum, build themselves up. Where does UCAM really go with this attack? As I feel as if for me, the problems will start with the composition.
Yeah, I think so, right? Like, it is definitely a very different meta read than what we've seen from other teams, even that are playing solo Waylay on this map. Lacks some of that extra driving force behind it, I think, on these executions. They want to try and play slow, but if BIS can't get that op up, it just feels like such a win condition for them, honestly. I do struggle to see them finding enough rounds here to keep this competitive, especially against Kron's Chamber when he's winning those fights. Lothar was saying it on the desk as well. When you've got 2 agents that can play with an op, get on an angle and leave. Another one of them, obviously, Yumpy here. It's a real issue.
And this is an issue as well. Not clearing Prophet with a judge. And unfortunately, he will actually get cleared. Jesse with a
3
nice
para
shot
3, 3
himself.
para 3.
Nearly gets caught out. You look at Kron towards EMEA and just
Agora
holding
é parar o
this down.
jogo.
He's given so much information
3 para 2.
to Vitality, but losing mid puts this round into
Vamos
trepidation.
aqui jogar para
Great
lá.
individual round from Jesse. Vitality are hamstrung. Looking towards Yampi now to be the one that bails them out. No TP, he's committed to this position.
But he's now known. And I don't know if he managed to dodge. No, he didn't as the tailor trail comes through. Yampi trying to use his own clone to success. Oh, that's a big double. And with the spike down, this puts this
Bold
into
sozinho,
Crone's
contra
favour.
Ball doesn't have very
Todos
much
com
time to
máxima vida.
reposition here. Does have a wall and a res.
Unfortunately, gives it away, and Kron just waits for Jesse's body to be shootable. It will be Vitality to hit double digits, and Yampi with an absolute screamer of a spray down.
Yeah, that's brilliant stuff from
Aí,
Yampi.
10-6.
Just the other week, actually, had an opportunity to catch up with Bacon, formerly with Liquid's VCT roster, now the head coach of their academy, and I was asking him, seeing Yampi still playing the Yoru, like, you know, what's up with that? Why Sayonara not playing it? We know Sayonara's a great Yoru player and Yampi can play Scan, and he just said, you know, let him play what he is confident on. Let him play what he wants and you will get the best out of him because he is incredibly talented, and it shows in, you know, little moments like that, right?
100%. I mean, the thing with Yampi is, once upon a time, he was the duelist player on Team Liquid. That's a long time ago since we're getting the history books out. But it
He
shows
was the chamber player as well.
Yeah, exactly. He knows exactly. I've been through a wide variety of agents, and for a while denied actually being an IGL. Finally accepted that the role on BBL.
And I have to say, Cairo, I think out of all of the players that have moved to being an in-game leader, maybe with the exception of Nats, he's right up there.
Yeah.
In terms of quality. For me, I still do think Nats probably just about takes it, at least based on results so far, but just I think the calling is definitely there, and looking at it now, double digits, huge opportunity for Vitality to close this out.
Cosmic Divide, obviously, as well as the Dimensional Drift. A retake should be no problem whatsoever for a side like Vitality at this moment in time. And Bold takes Sayonara very early on, which makes this a difficult one.
Vamos ter mais um.
Sure,
Já
Durka
sabem
was
dele.
quite anticipating a player to be up close there, and actually, while UCAM are going to dump the
Já
util
recuou
into
there.
Link, both hindered and with a Prowler in his face, Durka is unperturbed. He is still looking at forcing the issue here, knowing
Bobby.
the rest of his team have gutted out B main.
Yeah, that's a very nicely played by Vitality and Yampi. So with that kill got, and B main now in Vitality's control, this Dimensional Drift is absolutely huge in terms of the impact.
I mean, Yampi has seen every single player. He can call this to his own suits.
Yeah, Profek also gets rid of Jesse, so the numbers dwindling now for UCAM.
Durka trying to spam back through the smokes.
Bem jogado aqui por parte da Liseira.
The former Apex man
Tens mais um.
will drop him.
Yeah.
Ron is at the next line here, but he can't force a fight.
He can, and time is ticking away.
Does end up winning that duel and the follow-up as well. So with that, it comes down to the 1 versus 1. Bisc still in this, and with time on his side, so no problems at all to bring that one over
Nada
the
está
line.
perdido.
UCAM back within 3 now, and with it being their first round and a half, you've got to wonder, can they replicate it?
A Liseira já tem a sua ultimate, eles vão reunir.
If they could, it would be massive if that's the case. For UCAM, the problem isn't the post plan. The problem is getting onto site, making sure to get themselves through this. And I'm wondering for Vitality, that early kill that went on towards Sayonara, is that what upset the round? Because they had no ability to go and find information.
Oh, wall over the top, but Kron knows it. Again, on a boost. It's come at the cost of Durka though. So no run it back in this round, but when you look at the control they currently have,
4 equipa B, Profec aqui a tirar info. Ui.
That's big info at the same time.
Já recuou, a equipa já está a rodar.
Been able to delay. He's now calling for Yampi to come and support.
Lay up a second star here for a stun on the way back in. Uses it pretty early, Profec, but has done his job and then some. This dropping as this double shift now falls to the shoulders of the Astra player. Yampi bailing backwards as the spike looks to go in with the support of a pit towards Link.
Now, you're looking at Vitality and the fact that there is Kron left in Link. Sayonara's spam is good though.
Stray bullet catches Famsi and UCAM on the back foot here. 2 versus 4 situation. Olazera stepping up, but only 30 points of health. Kron gonna struggle to get back in through this pit with the weapons that he has, but the rest of the team are there to follow it up. Supporting cast all in position. Olazera just wrapping around here, using his own orb to get in behind Kron now, but finally they realize, and Vitality are back to winning ways.
Sixth sense from Kron. Just the knowledge and the ability to switch round and check. Vitality re-extending the lead back to 4 and looking to head down the narrow straight of this grand final. Just 2 rounds away from being the winners of this bracket.
I have to say it's a good time as any to bring back that conversation about UCAM, talking of scrim results, because it was Bisk that said yesterday on the post-match interview that for Bind, a map which maybe historically they hadn't looked the best on, they were winning all the scrims, right? The pracs were looking nice. It's in the officials where they struggled to execute. I feel like Corrode might just be another example of that, where you're playing another caliber of opponent, and we're just not seeing it here in the grand final.
Certainly not. Looks as if UCAM set their sights once again
Estava aqui quem
towards the
fazer
B
antes
side,
aquilo.
but Profec already has netted
Situação
himself a
difícil
kill.
aqui, pá.
Yampi not identified, the players just run out, and it's as easy as that. Easy as collecting the kills, flawless round. It's mapping series point for Vitality.
Yeah, it's tournament point in the Omega bracket. Very soon they could see themselves as champions of this one. And it's nothing less than you expect from this organization. That last round, it has to be frustrating for UCAM though. I know they're on an eco, but when you put the wall up there, one of the few angles you have to clear is close, and again it goes overlooked. These little mistakes coming back to cost them, but valuable experience nonetheless. One final execution perhaps towards the A site, and it's with pace.
Yeah, hindered as Derka
Quer
because
jogar
of the
para lá,
ultimate, but
equipa do
Amori
Cam.
has protected him
Entre
for a
aquilo,
moment.
muito bem, Bisk.
The rest of the pack not coming to help Bisk, no crunch, and Derka being able to buy one back, brings the numbers even, run it back online, and here it comes through. The bodies of UCAM trying to run and Scarpa, as there's nowhere to hide from a player like Derka. The spike down in the ground, and Vitality looking to end it here and now. That will be a 2
aí, a vitória de Vitality
for the first trophy of 2026, when the hope is one of many.
Yeah, they will, and whether they get a trophy or not, I'm not too sure, but they are your Omega champions